What is up, guys? TopTierYugioh here, and today I want to have a deck building discussion about Tearlaments and then do some test hands just to explore what this deck is going to be capable of as we move into this new January 1st format. So let's go ahead and get into it. Moving into the discussion, I think it makes the most sense to start with what's actually changing on the ban list, and that is the banning of Agito and Kelbeck. This is a huge hit because these are just incredible bomb cards. They're very powerful. We all know that, and just the feeling of milling 3 and then hitting like Agito, Kelbeck, Trivy Karma is like insane. But yeah, these are getting banned, and maybe rightfully so. If I weren't playing Tearlaments, I would agree, but as a tier player, I disagree with the banning. But nevertheless, what this means for the deck is that it's going to greatly diminish the effect of Diviner as well as Foolish Burial. These are both your starter cards, or some of your starter cards. And then also it begs the question of if it's still worth, ooh, that glare is bad, but if it's still worth playing the Shufflers, the other Ishizu cards. Let's see if I can move these out of the glare. Okay, so these are the main subtractions from the deck, and what that's going to mean is, once again, you're losing these crazy powerhouse cards in Agito and Kelbeck. You're losing your starter cards with Diviner and Foolish Burial. You could still play them. You could still play Foolish, especially. You have other cards that you want to send, but Foolish for, you know, a Rhino Heart or Tier Cash just it doesn't have the same impact as sending Agito or Kelbeck. So I honestly don't think Foolish is worth it anymore. And same with Diviner. Like, you could maybe play the Shufflers, but normal summon send the Shuffler without graveyard setup is kind of bad, so probably not. And then the Shufflers, okay, yes, they're still good to mill, but then they're also terrible to draw, and they're only going to be good to mill once you have a setup, and probably if you have Pearl or Rhino as well. So not always going to even be good to mill either. So I don't think any of these are worth playing. So again, you're losing a lot of power, you're losing some starters, and then you're losing efficiency. I think within the deck building, we need to replace these in some aspect. And sort of what I was thinking for each of them, well, we'll get to that, but first I want to start with, well, let's start with the starters. And to replace the starters, I think probably the best replacement for them is actually the Horus engine, because between playing 3 copies of King Sarcophagus and then 3 copies of Imseti, yeah, let's see, 3 copies of Imseti. My 3rd copy, I'm gonna proxy with another Diviner for copium reasons, but they also, you know, the same rarity, they do kind of the same thing in the deck. But what these 6 cards allow you to do is effectively summon a Vampire Horus. As long as you have another Horus monster in your deck, we're gonna be playing happy. But they allow you to go into the Zombie Vampire, which is a mill 4, and it's not quite mill 5. It's not as random as these either, which is maybe a good thing. So it's not really a bomb like they are, but it is still a very powerful play. It is still a starter. So it kind of gives us more cards that we can play in the place of Diviner and Foolish to just get our plays started. Like, just cards that you can draw that equal mill some number of cards. Whereas before, or without them, you don't really have that in the deck. Like, there are combinations of cards that do that. Like, if you can get the Tier Cash and, you know, a Scream and be able to summon the Tier Cash, obviously, then, you know, that's mill 6. But we need starters to just get things going, and this is, I think, the best option for that. So I do think the Horus engine is definitely going to be a way to go. So that's how we're replacing our starter cards. That replaces that problem. I think in regards to power, again, these are very powerful cards. To replace those, I think emphasizing Beatrice a bit more is going to be important, which is also something we lose by taking out Diviner, because Diviner was one of the main level 6 monsters after sending one of these. So I guess in combination, that was something that made them so powerful too. It was like mill 5, then have a level 6 to go into Beatrice for a targeted mill, or a targeted send or dump, I should say, I guess. But I think emphasizing Beatrice will also maybe be the way to go moving forward. And with that, again, we don't have as many level 6s. Previously, the only ones I played were Diviner and then Garura. But now, to have more level 6s, I'm going to be adding the D-Hero engine. So we're going to be playing 2 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious and a copy of Denier, which I can't find. I'm sure I have one, but I can't find it. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to be using the Jive Turkey, or mild turkey. But Denier is a Jive Turkey, so that's why I thought it was an appropriate proxy. Also, Mild Turkey is kind of a festive card. We just had Christmas. I hope you guys didn't experience any Mild Turkey over the holidays, but we're going to be experiencing some mild turkey for this video. So that's going to be Denier. And then also in the extra deck, obviously we're playing the Dangerous, which I also cannot find. So I'm going to be proxying it in this video with a Dragoon, because it's another Dangerous guy. So, you know, it kind of just makes sense. And then the other level 6 we're going to be playing is a copy of Shyama, a card that I really don't like, but there are not a lot of playable level 6 monsters in this deck, and this is at least one of them. So I think that's going to help us sort of replace the power that we're losing with the Guido and Kelbeck, especially on the opponent's turn. Beatrice being like a form of disruption on the opponent's turn is huge, whereas, you know, there are a lot of games without them, or with a Guido and Kelbeck, I guess. You can just mill them on your opponent's turn, mill 5, and it's insane. But yeah, that's how we're going to be replacing some of the power. And then in terms of efficiency, I don't really think there are that many ways to do so. The engine itself isn't that inefficient, like your tier fusion monsters, your Merly, your Havness, your Sharon, they all shuffle themselves back into the deck. Everything is recyclable. It's not going to be as easy to recycle some of the non-engine cards, but I think the way we sort of bolster the engine in this case, or moving forward, or at least what I'm thinking, is with the addition of more copies of Foolish Burial Goods. And the reason for this is that I found that having the setup of Perla Rhino plus Scream, well, obviously having these are great, but I found that most of the games that I was winning post Banlist was when I had these on board. And so I really want to optimize my chances of doing so by playing 3 copies, or at least 2, just more copies of Foolish Burial Goods, because you can send Trivy Karma, and then Trivy Karma can search the missing piece. Or if you already have both the Scream and the Perla Rhino, you can use Trivy Karma, or you can use, Trivy Karma to search, you know, Sulliek or Meta Noise. Or you can send Sulliek or Meta Noise, and they can get to a tier monster, another tier monster from your deck or graveyard. So I think Foolish Burial Goods just has a lot of utility in this deck, and I think just bolstering the engine in general is going to be good for the deck moving forward, especially if you're not playing these Shizu cards at all. So those are the main changes that I'm going to be making to the deck. I'm still not too sure about the ratios of all of them, or the number of cards I'm going to be playing, whether it be 40, 41, 42, you know, that doesn't really change the statistics very much, but, you know, maybe I play over 40, maybe I play theoretically under 40 with Upstart Goblin, but Upstart's not necessarily good to mill, so maybe not. But another card I actually really want to be playable in this deck is Duality. I feel like there's a universe where Duality is playable. It just seems like a very interesting card, because if you draw it in combination with certain monsters, it can be pretty powerful. If you mill it, you can use the graveyard effect. I feel like there's some cards that exist that make this playable in Tearlaments, and I'm not too sure what it is. Or maybe there's something that's missing that I can't quite put my finger on yet, and when it gets released or created, then this will be insane. So I don't know. This is something that I have my eye on for this deck. I don't know. But if you guys think of a way to use Duality in this deck, let me know. But also let me know what you guys think about you know, how Tearlaments are going to be played in this next format. What are some other things that you can add to the deck, because we're losing a lot of cards. I mean, maybe you still think that the Shufflers are still good. Maybe you're still playing some other cards, but I think you're definitely playing the Horus engine. Let me know what else you guys are playing in your tier decks though. But let's go ahead and move into the test hands. Alright, so I just finished shuffling the deck, so let's go ahead and get into the test hands. But before we do, I think this is the part of the video where I ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, but I don't upload nearly enough to recommend you doing that. But if you do choose to do so, I would really appreciate it. Not that I'm asking you to do it, but you know, if you want to, it would be nice. But let's go ahead and get into these test hands. All right, so for this first hand, hopefully we don't brick. We've got Imseti, a second Imseti. Remember, this is a proxy for Imseti. I guess I should have shuffled better. Sulliek, Scream, and Danger Nessie. So what we could do with this hand is, first looking at it, we've got 2 starters. We've got, you know, something that's great to either keep in hand or discard. We got Scream, which is great, and Nessie. So this is a pretty solid hand. I think you want to start with activating Imseti's effect, discarding the other Imseti. Hopefully you don't get Ash tier. That's another thing. This deck is very much more so vulnerable to Ash with the Horus engine than it previously was, and that's a little spooky, but nonetheless, hey, hopefully it just doesn't happen. But with Imseti's effect, we're going to search for a King's, that's not King's Sarcophagus, King's Sarcophagus. And then we're going to get the draw card, which is something else that I like about the addition of Imseti. Just being able to draw more cards in this deck is really, really good. Do one more little cut. Ill, but hey, that's fine. So we can activate King Sarcophagus. Hey guys, quick interruption because I'm about to misplay for the next like 1 hour of this video, so I just wanted to clear a couple of things up before getting to that point. The first thing being that dangers do trigger off of discarding for cost, and so if you discard a danger for King Sarcophagus's effect, you do get the danger effect, the discard effect it is. And I completely forgot about that, and you're about to see that right now. The second misplay that comes up again continuously is that with Zombie Vampire, I keep forgetting to summon off of it, which is insane because that's a really good effect to forget. But yeah, I keep forgetting about that. I'm just basically treating it as a mill for some stupid reason. And the third thing is that for Shyama's effect to summon itself, you have to destroy a face down card you control or a fiend monster, and Kaleido Heart is a fiend type, and I did not remember that at all in this video. And so overall, I'm getting less advantage off of King Sarcophagus, less advantage off of Zombie Vampire, and not summoning Shyama as much, resulting in not as many Beatrice summons. And so I'm basically playing handicap in this video. So whatever you see in this video, if you play optimally, you can just do so much more. And it's insane to think that, because like you're gonna see a lot of really cool combos and plays in this video, but like the deck just does more. Like the deck is better, and people are thinking that Tearlaments are gone or dead after the ban list. That is not the case for sure. Definitely not the case. So thank you guys for watching. I'm sure not too many of you guys are even gonna see these misplays. I mean, we're already like 10 minutes into an hour-long video, but for those of you who are watching this far, again, thank you, and don't roast me too badly in the comments, please. Okay, thanks guys. And you could activate the Scream too, just in case you end up summoning like a tier monster in some way off of the potential Zombie Vampire effect. But if not, yeah, you can go ahead and activate King Sarcophagus's effect, discarding the Nessie, because Nessie doesn't even have anything to search in deck, but Jackalope still does if we want to activate the effect. And then with King Sarcophagus, we can send a copy of Happy to the grave. Then summon back the Happy and the Imseti, overlay both of those for a Zombie Vampire, and activate Zombie Vampire's effect. Definitely detach the Imseti so you have a Dark Engrave, even though we have the other Imseti Engrave, but it's a good habit to get into. And then mill 4. So for that, we've got Havness, Rhino, Fenrir, and Fenrir. I'm obviously really good at playing tier because I mill names all the time, right? So with this, we could do Havness Chainlink 1, Rhino Heart Chainlink 2. So Rhino Heart, bring back the Rhino, discard the Celiac. Actually, maybe we discard, discard the Celiac. Discard the Celiac, and then for Havness, oops. Let's see, so we've summoned 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be our 5th summon. Part of me wants, I think you definitely want to go into like a Mud Dragon, that we could go into Bahamut Toad, so you have Toad, but if they have Nib, you get Nibbed already. If they have Ash, they definitely Ashed already. So what would be the purpose of making a Toad, like a Bahamut Shark and a Toad on like your 6th, 7th summon? Maybe nothing, because if they had the hand trap that interacts with your ability to access deck or graveyard, it would have been used already. If they have a Nibiru, or if they have a Droll or something, again, it would have been used already. So really the main thing that you're not getting hit by is Nib. So I guess you want to avoid Nib. So I guess with the Havness, I mean, you're not avoiding it, but you at least can get to Garura to where if they Nib you get a free draw. So that's what we're going to do. We'll summon another level 6 later in the turn, ideally. So let's see. That chain is finished resolving, and a new chain. Let's do Chainlink 1 Rhino Heart, Chainlink 2 Celiac. So with the Celiac, let's see. Are we gonna use Jack? Like, what monster do we search? Have we normal summoned? No, but we've already got a Rhino Heart, so we're not searching Rhino. We could search Sharon, but we don't really want to discard anything from our hand, so probably not, because we can just use the Jackalope effect to summon a Nessie, get another body on board. Or we can get a Tier Cache, which I do think is the play. Because we've got stuff in the grave, it's a free extra mill, extra body. So yeah, Tier Cache, ooh, they're all like together. And then with the Rhino Heart, I want to mill another name. Not Merly in case we end up going into Sprint. We've already used Havness, so the only other name is Sharon. Sharon effect with the Mseti. Gets us to the Mud Dragon. Let's see, nothing resolves after that. Overlay those for Bahamut Summon Toad. Let's put the Rhino in grave in case you want to go to a Kaleido later. And then Bahamut effect. You can probably do the zones better, but you know, it doesn't really matter in this case. And just like testing purposes, we can always just move the zones around later, depending on what's going to make sense. So this is the board. And again, like the zombie, it all came off of the zombie vampire. Like the zombie vampire and then having the Mseti in the grave, that's what allowed for all of this. So that's the power of having strong starters in this deck. So that's pretty good. Again, if we had gotten nibbed, we would have at least gotten the draw, and then we would have had, you know, other cards in hand to still resolve. So let's see. So yep, this is where we are. Activate Scream. It still would be really nice to get to a Pearl Rhino. Again, that's one of the setups that I feel like if you have that, you probably win the game. So with that, we're going to activate our Tier Cache effect, banish a Fenrir, summon Tier Cache 1, Scream 2. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So again, this is a D-Hero denier in a new chain. We already used Suliuk that searched the Tier Cache, but we still have not used Meta Noise. So we can use Meta Noise, target Tier Cache to mill 2. So do that. 2 more off the Tier Cache. That's unfortunate. That is really unfortunate, actually. That's the fun part about playing this deck. That's part of the fun. So, something that we could also do. Oh, the other thing is now having this extra Tier Cache in hand means that we're not using the Jackalope, because we could potentially discard it, which wouldn't do anything. We don't necessarily need any extra bodies on board. Obviously, we've got a full board. So, super tricky. I think what would be ideal here would be to get Merly in the grave, right? Merly can shuffle back a Malicious, and then we could use Malicious to summon the other one, and then overlay for Beatrice with the Garura. I think that would be ideal, but the only way to get to Merly in the grave would be to link away the Totally Awesome. And that's a play that I've been kind of opening myself up to more lately, because it does come up. Like previously I wasn't even playing Sprint in the main extra deck, because it wasn't coming up enough, but I find post list it's been coming up a little bit more for me, and also doing that play gets you a water monster back. And so you could get Rhino back as a follow-up for next turn. We could add Toad back, but you can also shuffle a Toad back via a Kaleido Heart summon. So yeah, probably not that, but I think it's a viable play. Like it definitely comes up like in situations like this. So let's actually link away the Bahamut and the Toad. We can go into where are my zones? Go in the Sprint effect. Oh, let's do Chain Link 1, Sprint, Chain Link 2, Toad, add back Rhino Heart. Sprint can dump Merly, which we haven't used yet. Where is she? Oh wait, we can't shuffle back. Yeah, we already used Mud Dragon. Oh, wait. We can still go Denier, yeah. Or Dangerous. Okay. Whew. I was like, wait a second. Oops. But yeah, Merly and... But then I guess we don't need to use... Yeah, then we don't even need to use Malicious Effect. I mean, I guess it gets another body, but... Hey, sure, I guess. So, yeah, this is our Dangerous. So we can go Dangerous. Now, since we have a D hero on board, we can actually use Denier's effect too, just get more bodies. So we can use Denier effect to summon itself back once per duel. And then, let's see, we can overlay those for Beatrice. Yeah, for Beatrice, we can, let's see, I guess you want to use the Malicious this turn, like why not? Otherwise you risk just not getting to it. Or like you risk milling it next turn, on your opponent's turn. And the extra body doesn't hurt, so let's see, so now we've got Malicious. See, this is what I mean, like the zones don't really matter until they matter. So if this is the extra monster zone, I guess we should have done it in this extra monster zone so that we could at least like have a free one to link these away. Into, where is it? IP Masquerena. And now, what else would make this board really good, I think would be like a tier trap, as we have this still on board. Now we have, let's see, oh, they're all engraved actually, so oops, we're not getting any of those back. So what would actually be good to even send with the Beatrice? Like Beatrice is going to be good just to get Kaleido next turn, but like, what would be good to send with Beatrice now? Yeah, maybe that's something that we miss with the shufflers. Because yeah, there is no way to get them back. Or maybe we play a... No one of the other tier cards gets back the banished ones. I think it's like Crime. Maybe we play a Crime. Maybe. Or is it Grime? Crime? Whatever it's called. But yeah, what do we send with Beatrice? I mean, oh, I guess Trivy Karma, then I can get us Perlarino. But, so yeah, I guess that's the play. Detach Garura. Send Trivy Karma, banish Trivy Karma, search Perlarino. So this is our hand currently. Activate. I'm just gonna play it here so it's in frame. Obviously not the field spell zone, but hey, you can see it. So activate Perlarino. This is our hand. We've already got a tier cache. We've got follow up for next turn. You could get a second tier cache to have like super plays on your next turn, or you get Havness to have super plays on your opponent's turn. But we also have Beatrice, so it's like you don't really like. I don't think we're gonna need to like have Scream, tier cache. Plus, we don't need to mill 9 cards on our opponent's turn. We're already gonna get access to Kaleido because we have Beatrice. So I think you could get away with a second tier cache just as like more follow up on the opponent's turn. But Havness isn't bad either. Like, you know, it might come up. But I like the tier cache because hey, on your opponent's turn, you might actually just trigger like all 3 of your names anyways. So you kind of want it in deck for that. Because you still could summon like Kaleido, then you could summon Draco's Stapelia, which could put back one of the like other ones, like Garura or the Mud Dragon, and then we could summon it again. So you could fuse 3 times on the opponent's turn, definitely. So I'm okay with keeping that second one in the deck for having or the third one in the deck for a really strong follow-up. So this will be our end board. It's pretty solid, you know. We've got the Perlarino, so this can pop on the opponent's turn. We've got the Scream, it's gonna make it hard for opponents to attack over stuff. It's a mill 3. We've got the IP, which can go into SP Little Knight on the opponent's turn. That's a disruption. We've got the Beatrice, which is like a guaranteed Kaleido, which is another disruption. We've got the Sprint effect, which a lot of people don't, you know, think about, but Sprint has an effect too with the zombie vampire, so that's another disruption. So we've got like let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 disruptions. And this can be triggered by just fusing with like one of these 2 mills, and then a 5th disruption with what we summon off of that. So like Draco's Tapalia. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 disruptions, more or less. So yeah, pretty solid. Pretty solid. Alright, next hand we've got Shyama, Scream, King Sarcophagus, Merly, and Foolish Burial Goods. This is I'd say a pretty solid hand actually, because we've got Scream, we've got access to Perlerino, we've got a pseudo starter in Merly, you know, it does mill 3, we've got King Sarcophagus, which is a good starter. So this is actually a pretty solid hand. So I would start this first by... So first, we want to test for hand traps actually. Getting hand trapped on a King Sarcophagus or an Imseti is rough. That is real rough. So I'd rather test for that on like Foolish Burial Goods, maybe sending Trivy Karma, and then maybe they stop either this, the Trivy Karma, or the Perlerino search. Like maybe some of those are getting stopped first. And then also, but then that plays in the Droll. And well, none of these other things playing the Droll anyway, so I guess that's fine. So yeah, I think it's definitely better to test for Ash than it is to test for Droll. So start with Foolish Burial Goods. Send Trivy Karma effect to get us to a Perlerino. I need to get some new sleeves. These are kind of gross. The other thing with Perlerino, maybe we don't activate this now. If our opponent has Ash, they use it, before now. They don't let us resolve Trivy Karma, but yeah, maybe we hold this just to see what we would want to maybe add after milling a few times. So from here, activate King Sarcophagus. Let's go ahead and activate Scream too, because why not? And let's see. Also, yeah, if we summon back a Rhino Heart, then this would be pretty good to have. But King Sarcophagus effect, discard the Shyama, send Imseti, something we could do now, because I kind of don't want to discard either of these. Like Perlerino is obviously really good. We could, and then Merly I don't want to discard, because if we do mill a Rhino Heart, there's 3 in the deck. This is a good card to discard off of the Rhino Heart. Although we could search a Tier Cache, which would also be really good to mill off of a Rhino Heart. Or we could use Shyama's effect to destroy the Scream. Scream could get a Tier Trap, either a Celiac or Meta Noise, and that would also be pretty good. But I think I'd maybe rather keep the Scream on board, and I'd also rather have the traps in deck to also mill. So yeah, maybe I don't do that. But let me know what you guys think about that. It's an interesting option though. But yeah, I guess we got to discard something. Yeah. Activate Perlerino. Perlerino will search. Yeah, we're gonna do Tier Cache. That's like the one I least mind discarding for this Sarcophagus. And this may be the downside with Sarcophagus. You need cards to discard for the effect, which is never feels good in this deck because it doesn't trigger any of your effects. It discards as a cost. Wait, does it? Yes, it is a cost. So yeah, it doesn't trigger any of your effects. So yeah, it never feels good to actually use, but it's great. It's great when you have Imseti. That makes it a lot easier. But now we're gonna discard Happy. Then we're going to use both of their effects, summon themselves back. Again, we do still have the Shyama. Maybe we use that later. But again, one of the things that I said about Shyama in the last video was that you often don't have things you want to destroy. Like, do you want to destroy King Sarcophagus, or do you want literal dragon rulers for the rest of the game? Like, maybe you want to keep this on the field. Same with Scream. Do you want to destroy this to get a trap, or do you want to have extra mills every single turn of the game? Maybe you want to keep the Scream. Like, you're definitely not destroying Perlerino if you don't have another one. So, super, hey, I don't know. But yeah, Zombie Vampire. And then, again, I want to do it this way so that if we hit a Rhino Heart, we have a good thing to discard. And then if we don't hit anything, Merly Scream is really good. So, hopefully this gets us there though. So, activate Zombie Vampire, detach Imseti to put a Dark Engrave, and then we're going to mill 1. So that's a Denier. Rhino Heart. Wow, look at that. Oh, ew. Okay. Not good anymore. And for a second when I saw like the blue, I thought it was a third Rhino Heart, and it's kind of like the same shape, like this kind of curvy shape. Oh, not saying Rhino Heart is curvy, pause, but you know, never mind, let's move on. So we've got Denier, 2 Rhino Hearts, and Nessie. And I think for this, we have to also just assume that the opponent mills nothing, or maybe they mill like a hand trap. Like, we don't want to assume we're playing against something that we don't want to assume that our opponents are going to mill something useful for us. But yeah, so let's new chain, Rhino Heart effect, discard the Merly, new chain. We can do. You probably want to protect the Merly, so Merly 1. Rhino 2, Scream 3. This will get things in the grave to kind of make the decision later about what you want to send and then what you want to fuse. But as of now, we've got access to Garura, we've got access to what's it called, Mud Dragon, and we have access to Kaleido. So we've got access to everything. And then this is our 1, 2, 3, 4th summon. So again, chain links 3, 2, 1. 3 will resolve first. 4, 1, 2, 3. 2 will be the Rhino Heart. So what should we send here? So we're going to assume that the Merly is going to resolve. Do we want to resolve a second fusion? If we do 2 fusions, again, if our opponent had Ash, they use it. If they have a Droll, they use it. The only hand trap to worry about at this point is Nib. How relevant is Nib going to be in this next format? That is for us to see, but you know, you still maybe should play around it. So if you play around it, our next summon will be our 5th summon, so we should play, you know, don't play too hard into it. And then, so do we want to send something to, you know, play more into it, or do we want to send something kind of safe? We already have Tier Cash being sent here, so really the only other names that would be good to send would, like, the only other thing that'd be good to send would be other names. But if we send them, do we want to fuse with them? That's the question. So I think it's probably worth it because we do have access to Kaleido and we have access to Garura, which are our main things to kind of deter our opponent from nibbing. And if they do have it, at least allows us to play through it. So I do think that it would be worth it. So I think we send another name. I think, let's see, we got Merly. I think the second one we send is probably Havness. Although I don't think it necessarily matters between Sharon and Havness. They're both equally inaccessible in the deck at this point. So, but I don't think it matters too much. And then chain link 3 will be the Merly. Again, so playing into Nib, this is going to be our 5th summon. The best thing to summon it to a Nib, I think, is actually a Kaleido Heart. So we'll go, let's see, Rhino, that, and the Merly. So these will all get shuffled or put onto the bottom. And we'll go Kaleido and on to a new chain. So we're going to assume the opponent doesn't have Nib because it, you know, it's just easier to do so. If it's being played, it's being played at 3, which means your opponent in their first 5 is only going to have a 34% chance of drawing it, I want to say. And so likely they don't have it. So if you think about the odds of them playing Nib and then the odds of them playing Nib and then drawing it, most likely they don't have it, but you still want to play around it. But, you know, hey. So new chain. We have the option of activating Pearl Rhino, but I don't think it's necessarily worth it because it's kind of greedy to use it to destroy anything. So probably not. But if you do get nibbed, then yeah, use it. But if you don't get nibbed, you know, don't go too crazy right here. We also have Tier Cash, Scream, and Havness. So we can do, again, I like doing the fusion monster last because, yeah, after you resolve everything else, then you can make that decision. So let's do 1, 2, and 3 Tier Cash. So Tier Cash mill 2, 1, 2, okay, and then 2 Scream. You want to search for some sort of disruption. You know, it depends on the matchup, but Celiac's usually a safe choice. Celiac's good. Celiac's a good card, you know. Hey, we all like Celiac. And then 3, the Havness effect. So with Havness, let's go into, I think it'll be, whoa, weird edit here, but my phone just died, or not died, but my phone ran out of memory, which is, I guess, a cue to hurry this up. But I'm going to try to remember where I was, because I have no idea where it ran out of memory. I was not looking at it. So I think what we were doing last was resolving the Havness, I want to say. So again, in resolving the Haveness, as far as our options, I think the best way to go would be to set up a Bahamut Toad. That's usually a really good way to go. So, and also looking at our graveyard. So we've got, let's see, a Denier, which cannot use the effect as we have no other Destiny heroes. We could also go into Dangerous to set up a malicious play though. We could just go straight into Toad with or straight into Mud Dragon and then Bahamut Toad with either the Jackalope or the Imseti. Probably the Jackalope though, because we want to leave Imseti in grave because we do have King Sarcophagus on board. And yeah, something else we could do, actually thinking about it now, we've got the Shyama in grave. We could, also maybe after Bahamut Toad, we could go like set Celiac, bring back the Shyama, Celiac search. That doesn't really get us anywhere. Shyama doesn't do anything unless we have level 6. The best way to get to another level 6 is going to be through our D Hero engine. So I guess it really comes down to either going into Bahamut Toad via going into Mud Dragon and just overlaying, or going into Beatrice. And I think the better route is probably going for Beatrice with the Destiny heroes, because after that you can use Beatrice to go into Toad. So yeah, so we're gonna go Haveness, and again the Denier / Mild Turkey, fuse those into a Dangerous, and that is the end of that chain. I believe it should be open game state from here. Yeah, trying to like remember everything after running out of memory, but I believe it should be open game state here. I don't think we forgot anything. All right, so now from here again, we want to go into a Beatrice, and we've got a couple of different options. We could use Dangerous effect, discard the Celiac in hand, this is the last card in our hand, to send Malicious, then use Malicious to get the other Malicious and overlay, or we can just set the Celiac and then destroy it with the Shyama, and by using Shyama's effect, and then go in overlay Shyama with Dangerous to make the Beatrice, which I do think is the play. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and set this, destroy it, bring back the Shyama. They're getting overlaid. Again, ignore the zones here. I'm trying to just keep everything in the frame. But yeah, summon back Shyama, and then you'll also get to resolve the Celiac effect, which I don't believe we've used yet. Here with Celiac's effect, let's see, what have we used? We haven't used, we still summoned Tier Cash. Did we normal summon? I don't think we normal summoned, so we could search Rhino. No, we already used Rhino. We could search Merly and summon, and that's probably not worth it. We could search Tier Catch, which probably is the play. So, which we could summon or save for next turn. We probably save it because we've used most of our names at this point. So, but yeah, Celiac search for a Tier Cash. The other option is maybe a Rhino for next turn, but this is fine. Then we overlay our Dangerous and Shyama for Beatrice. Activate Beatrice's effect. Let's detach Dangerous so we have a good fusion to shuffle back into the deck if we want to go into a Dracos Stapelia. Yeah, and then with Beatrice we can dump our last name that we haven't used. We used Haveness, we used Merly. So now we will send Sharon. And we can use Sharon and a Dark. We could actually use the Dangerous for that, but yeah, probably just Jackalope, yeah. Both of those to go into Mud Dragon. That's out of frame, but Mud Dragon, which gets overlaid for a Bahamut Shark, which detaches for Toad somewhere. All monsters in attack just to fit. But yeah, goes into this. And then the final option you have is if you want to link something off into an IP. So I guess what we could have also done is if we summon whatever we would want to link off in the extra monster zone. So if let's say we summon Bahamut in the extra monster zone, we could summon the tier cache by banishing, let's say, Scream. So banish Scream. Hope you guys could see what was in my graveyard as I was looking through that just now. But yeah, banish the Scream, summon tier cache effect. I'm trying to remember if we used this or not. I don't. If we did already summon tier cache, then like completely ignore this, but I don't think we did. I think it was just zombie vampire, milled Rhino Heart, then Rhino Heart got to this, and then the resulting chain from this got to this, which then got to this. So I don't think we've done this yet. So mill 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that kind of stinks, milling another name, but sure. We've already used Merly this turn. But now what we can do is link these off into a IP. I guess something else we could have done was just link off the zombie vampire, but it's kind of a good card to keep, you know? Zombie vampire is kind of a nice card to keep if your opponent can't break your board. It's just game, because you have that starter for next turn. But I guess also in the same regard, if they don't break your board, which this doesn't contribute to them not breaking, then it's still just game. Like if you had the tier cache instead. So if, let's say, instead of this, which could be our end board, we kept tier cache in hand. Let's see. Had Bahamut Toad, and then let's see, put these back on top of the deck, and then we link Bahamut and Vampire Zombie into IP. Hope you guys can see it. Let's see. Move these back. This back. So if this is our end board, this is, yeah, I would say, yeah, probably better. It's definitely a better defensive board because now we still have the tier cache in hand to use in the opponent's turn. And that's 3 extra cards to the mill. But we do also still have Beatrice anyway. So like, regardless, we're getting a guaranteed 1 fusion on the opponent's turn. So this is gonna probably turn into like a Draco Stapelia, for example. So you've got at that as disruption. We have IP into SP for disruption. If we like, this is gonna be easy to trigger. So you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interruptions, and again we have this is a mill, 6 cards that we can potentially mill in the opponent's turn. So yeah, so we have about 5 disruptions, which is pretty good, and maybe 6 if we use the second SP effect. So once again, we have 5 plus disruptions, and that was drawing a quote-unquote brick with the Shyama. I forget what the rest of the hand was, but you know, we got there, we made it work. Let's take a look at another hand. All right, new hand. Just finished shuffling this hand. We've got Imseti, Terraforming, Perlarino, Danger Nessie, and Scream. So we opened up Wombo combo, Scream plus Perlarino. Pretty good. This is a solid hand. We've got a starter with Imseti. We've got effectively 2 blanks. I am not opposed to this hand at all. So let's see. First of all, the dangers trigger when discarded as Imseti discard. I'm not sure off the top of the head. I think it just sends. But let's see. Let's see. Send 2 cards in your hand to the grave, including this card. Okay, so that does not trigger dangers. Unfortunate. So let's see. We also have the Terraforming, which could be valuable for deck thinning purposes, like just taking the Pearl Rhino out of the deck. So it's something we don't draw, or sorry, something we don't mill, as it is a terrible mill. It would also be a good card to keep in hand for follow up. But you know, things don't always work out that way, and we need something to discard for the glory anyways. This would also play into a Droll, which this at least would get us to Sarcophagus. So I guess if we want to play around Droll, it would be a matter of which one of these we want to activate first. I think this is more important as a starter card, so that's probably the first thing that we do with this hand. Now the downside of that is we would be playing into an Ash Blossom. So it's like, do you want to play, and this is an obvious Ash, so whereas Perla Rhino is a questionable Ash. So I do think it's kind of, it'll depend on the format and what hand traps everyone's playing, what tech cards we're all playing, but it'll depend on if it's going to be worth playing into Droll or playing into Ash. With this being a questionable Ash, this being a definite Ash, and both of them being something that gets Drolled, albeit this being more important to resolve, I think it might be. I think we play into Ash first. I mean, again, it's a personal preference. It's gonna depend on the format. It's hard to say what we're gonna be doing January 1st format before it starts, but I think maybe we, just play into the Ash or the Droll, and risk it. I think that's the play. So, hey, and maybe we super play into Droll. So let's say we start with terraforming. Yeah, super playing the Droll. So let's go ahead and search a planet. But yeah, if you want to play around Droll, just activate the Imseti. We're playing super hard into Droll so that we don't lose to an Ash Blossom, because Ash would actually hurt. Because then just Pearl Rhino Scream on its own is okay, but not great at all by any means. So activate Pearl Rhino. Pearl Rhino is going to search a Rhino Heart. Ooh, right there on the bottom. And then from there, we can go ahead and activate the Scream, and then activate the Imseti. We're going to discard the Nessie with Imseti just so we have another Aqua in the graveyard, a Dark Aqua at that in the graveyard, and then also allows us to keep Pearl Rhino potentially in hand for follow-up next turn. So activate Imseti's effect, discard the Nessie. That's going to search our Sarcophagus, and then draw a card, and it'll come down to, what's going to be the better discard. Is it going to be the Pearl Rhino, or it's going to be whatever we draw to discard to get the Happy Engrave? So, draw a card. Ooh. Now that's a tricky one, because we're going to get to a Zombie Vampire. Zombie Vampire is going to mill 4. This would be a great card to discard off of the potential mill of a Rhino Heart. This will also be good to hold in hand for just in general for this turn. This would be good for milling Shyama. This would be good for a few different scenarios. So I think we discard the Pearl Rhino for Sarcophagus' effect. So activate the Sarcophagus. Again, this is obviously a field spell, not a continuous spell, but I'm playing it here so that's in the frame so that we know that we have it instead of putting it like off over here somewhere. So activate Sarcophagus' effect. Sarcophagus is going to discard the Pearl Rhino. That is going to send Happy to the graveyard. There it is, Happy. Then we're going to activate both of our Horus monsters, summon themselves back, overlay for a Zombie Vampire. Oop, that's not Zombie Vampire. I thought it was just on top. Alright, Zombie Vampire effect. And we're going to mill 4. 1, 2. And this is another Imseti, by the way. 3. Oh, that's the third Pearl Rhino. And 4. So the third Pearl Rhino, the third Imseti's out of the deck. So not a great mill, but that's fine. That's exactly why we did it this way. So we've got the Rhino Heart in hand. We still got Scream to resolve. So we're still in a relatively good position. And we've got the Sulliek. Yeah, we could whiff on everything and then still have like Sulliek here. So that's awful, yeah. That would still be bad. But nonetheless, normal summon Rhino Heart, activate Rhino Heart's effect on the Scream. So chainlink 1 Rhino, chainlink 2 Scream. Chain will resolve, and we'll go, let's see, Denier, Tier Cash, and whew. Okay, that was, whew, okay, we're in there. So we got that, and then the Rhino Heart effect. So what do we have engraved that we could fuse, and what do we want to fuse with? Once again, this is our, if we're gonna have the same nib discussion, so let's play around nib as best as we can. So looking at the grave, we've had that discussion a couple times before. We've got 2 Aquas, but we don't have the Rhino Heart except for the one on board to fuse for the Kaleido. We could, let's see, with the Sharon and the Nessie go into a Garura. With Sharon and Imseti, we could go into Mud Dragon. With Sharon and Mild Turkey, we could go into Dangerous to get to a Beatrice. Let's see. So what? Yeah, we're sending off Rhino Heart. Yeah, so we're gonna go into like 2 of those. So yeah, I guess the best thing to send would be, let's see. So we could send another name to fuse, or we could send something to fuse with the Sharon that we need. So we, like for example, we could send the Rhino Heart and then fuse the Rhino Heart with the Sharon to go into a Kaleido Heart. It then use like Perla Rhino Kaleido to send something else, if we want to be greedy. Or we could send Tier Cash, mill 2 more. Or we could send another name and get 2 fusions, which I think is probably the play, actually. So yeah. Sharon, we can send Havness. Yeah. So now new chain, Havness Sharon effect. Doesn't matter which we use. But let's do... I kind of want to go... Yeah. Yeah. So let's do... Garura and then Dangerous. Let's see, Dangerous. Garura, they're just going to get overlaid anyways. And if our opponent has Nib, then like we would resolve the Rhino Heart, which would, you know, be able to trigger, and we could discard Solik, so we get another Surge, we get Rhino Heart back. That wouldn't be terrible. And we'd draw. So yeah, we wouldn't just straight up lose. Again, we also had the option of going into the Kaleido Heart play, which I think is okay, but I do think it's a little greedy. I don't like doing that much, but I think this is... Yeah, let me know what you guys would do in this situation. We have so many options here, and I think probably all of them, again, under the assumptions that we're not getting hand trapped to get us to the point that we're trying to get to. So, they all kind of work more or less the same. But Beatrice's effect... Let's see. The last one that we haven't resolved yet is Murley. So we send... Wow, right on top. Send Murley. And now we can fuse the Murley with Garura to go... Oh, we didn't draw, actually. So yeah, send Murley, new chain. Murley chain link 1, Garura chain link 2. Sure. Okay, so then Murley and the Garura can go into Mud Dragon, overlay the Mud Dragon for a Bahamut, which can go into Toad, and then we can link both of those into IP. And set the Celiac. Let's see. Again, zones don't necessarily matter, but this would be our inboard. And again, let me know what you guys would do. All of these hands are obviously incredibly dynamic. You never know what you're going to mill. You have so many options between, you know, what you're going to send with Rhino Heart, what you're going to fuse with your fusers. But this is what I would maybe end up with. So we've got Toad, we've got IP, we've got Beatrice, Celiac, Pearl Rhino, Scream. So ultimately this is same as before. We've got 1, 2 disruptions because that's going to go into that. 1, 2, 3. Beatrice will turn into Kaleido at some point, most likely. So we'll just do this. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will trigger, like, so when we Celiac with the Kaleido, it will destroy the Kaleido, which will trigger its effect to get another fuse. So it's 5, 6, because we have the other fusion from the other fusion that'll get engraved. So 6, and then potentially 7 with the Pearl Rhino's pop effect. And we've got the Scream too, so we'll mill some cards. So yeah, it's like potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 disruptions. So again, pretty good hand. Or that hand was good because it was Pearl Rhino, Scream, Imseti. Yeah, Pearl Rhino, Scream, Imseti, Nessie, Terraforming. So yeah, that was a good hand, and it got us a good board. Makes sense. And I guess the cool thing is that it really showed a lot of what we discussed at the beginning of this video. Like, we can see here off the number of disruptions, the power of Pearl Rhino Scream. Like, Scream is what got us to that initial fusion, actually, if I'm not mistaken. And then, so Scream, you gotta have Scream is really good. And then, like, this just makes the engine really strong. We saw the Horus cards, which got us the Zombie Vampire, which was really good. And we also saw, yeah, we saw like what the D heroes can do, yeah, because we got to Beatrice like that. So we really got to see what all of the things that we discussed, we got to see how they can work in action. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's do one more hand. Hopefully this video isn't too long, but for those of you who sticked around, I do really appreciate it. And I want to hear what you guys think as well about the state of Tearlaments in this format, or if I make any misplays. Definitely let me know if I misplay. Don't let me look stupid on the internet. So thank you guys who are definitely sticking around to this point. Let's do one more hand. So for this hand, we've got a Fenrir, Rhino Heart, Jackalope, another Fenrir, and Pearl Rhino. So this is a solid hand because Fenrir will get us to a tier cache. We've got Rhino Heart, we've got Pearl Rhino. We've got most of the things we need to really get our plays going. So again, same discussion that we've had every single hand. How do you want to play around Ash? How do you want to play around Droll? How prevalent do you think they're going to be in a new format? And then, you know, how you're really just getting the read on your opponent, what your preferences are. But I think that we would probably start this hand with a, I would start it with a Fenrir, because getting tier cache is really good. You could also, you know, actually, I guess retrospect, Pearl Rhinos may be better, because getting to Sharon is really good as well, because Sharon could put the second Fenrir in grave to trigger the tier cache that it's going to search, that the first one's going to search. So yeah, I guess, yeah. But then I guess if you get Drolled, it doesn't matter. Either way though, nonetheless, Pearl Rhino can get us to a copy of Sharon. We're going to summon the Fenrir. Fenrir can get us to tier cache. There we go. So now we can activate our Sharon's effect, discard the Fenrir, and then mill 3. 1, 2, 3. I haven't seen instant fusion at all this video, I don't think. But yeah, 1, 2, 3. Now we've got something engraved to use with the tier cache in hand, so we can banish the Fenrir from the graveyard. Summon out tier cache effect mill 3. 1, 2, 3. Trivia Karma though. So now we can go ahead and use Trivia Karma. Not in the trigger. This goes back to open game state. Open game state activate Trivia Karma effect. Get to Scream. Activate Scream. Summon out Rhino Heart. We've got engraved. Alright. Chainlink 1 Rhino, Chainlink 2 Scream. 1, 2, 3. And then Rhino Heart. So what do we want to send with Rhino Heart? We have access to, let's see. How many aquas do we have? So we don't have enough. Oh no, we have Sharon on field, but that'll be, no, we're not doing that. We could summon Kaleido, but we definitely don't want to do that. We have access to Garura through Nessie and Shayama to summon back to go with the Garura. We have access to Mud Dragon via Imseti, which can get us to Bahamut Toad. Again, same discussion as we've had every single hand. How do you want to play around Nibiru? We've summoned 4 times. This will be the 5th. If we get nibbed on the board as is, it would trigger Rhino Heart. Oh no, we wouldn't because we have nothing in hand, but it would at least trigger the Sharon and the tier cache. So that would be something. That would be mill 2 and a fuse. So what would the 5th summon want to be? Probably the Garura, because again, we got the Shayama to go with it. We would just have to pop a card. Wait, no, we have to destroy a face down card we control and destroy. So yeah, actually, we could not use Shayama. Yeah, we can't use Shayama. It's gonna be a face down card. So, if we go into Garura, and again, we're thinking what to send. Yeah, we're thinking what to send with the Rhino Heart to then fuse with. So if we send something, let's go ahead and send first. Then we'll get there, yeah. Alright, so Sharon's on board. Let's not send Merly, we're gonna send Havness. Alright. Now with the Havness, okay, so we could go Garura, but then what do we do with the Garura? With, you know, a bunch of level 4s and 7s? Probably nothing. Because, yeah, we have no way to get to anything else to set to destroy, because we've already normal summoned, so you can't even, like, set the Jackalope and destroy it. Which I do believe this can do. Yeah, it's just one face-down card. Yeah, so, let's see. So, not that. We could go, let's see. This is a Kaleido. And then we could use Kaleido's effect to do things. Or we could go straight into the Mud Dragon. I think the play here is to go into Kaleido. And again, if our opponent has Nib, then we get punished. And if not, it's the exact same as, you know, it's the exact same thing. So, these three will turn into a Kaleido Heart, and now we can use, let's see, Kaleido is summoned, that can trigger Perlerino. Perlerino can destroy the Kaleido Heart. That triggers, well, for a second I forgot where I put my grave. It was over here, and I was looking over here for the grave and didn't see it, and that scared me, because I thought I shuffled my grave into my deck, but that triggers Kaleido Heart's effect. So now with Kaleido we can send another tier card, summon itself back out, and with that bring some more options. So we could send Scream to search a trap, which we could then destroy with the Shayama to bring itself back. But then, what do we do with the Shayama without the Garura? Maybe nothing. We could send, like Sulliek to get a monster, but then what monster do we get? We could get a tier cash for more disruption on the opponent's turn. We could get, we could still send Scream and then just search a trap to have, because we're going to likely have an extra tier cache on board unless we link it away. So we could just have like a Sulliek or a Meta Noises disruption. That wouldn't be terrible either. And we're going to have Kaleido Heart as well on board. Yeah, we can go ahead and summon this back anyways. And what else could we send? We could just send another name, just to fuse. And then that could be either the Garura or the... I mean, I don't even like Garura here, actually, anymore, because, yeah, it's like, what do we do with it? I guess it's link it away, which is, I guess, fine, but, you know, not super impactful. So it's like between a draw, a trap, or we send another fusion, which would get us a draw, a trap, or totally awesome. Yeah, whoa, yeah, I guess we go totally awesome here. Yeah, okay, so which names have we used? We used Havness, Sharon's on board. We send Merly here. Okay. We're thinking through it, guys. If you have any plays that you would otherwise do, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Let's see, so now that triggers the Merly with the Imseti. To go Mud Dragon, overlay Mud Dragon for Bahamut. Extra monster zone to summon Toad, and then link both of these off into IP, and yeah, I guess that's basically it. We do still have the Jackalope in hand, which we could use to just summon out Nessie, but I don't see what we do with that. Like, extra monsters on board don't really do anything for us. Like, there's nothing we really link into. Yeah, so I think that's it for this turn. This would be 1, 2, 3 disruptions, 3 like guaranteed disruptions. Then after that, our opponent is definitely going to summon, or we are going to summon. That's going to trigger the Scream, which could likely... Yeah, let's see what we mill with Scream, because, like, if we mill, like, an Aqua, then that would trigger the Kaleido Heart. Yeah, that would trigger Kaleido Heart. If we mill anything to fuse, then that could trigger, like, something gets shuffled. This Scream can either trigger the Kaleido Heart or the Perlerino. I'm trying to think if there's a way to resolve Sharon. I don't think there is for it to get destroyed by card effect. But the other thing is that once Toad hits the grave, you can add back tier cash. That's another mill 3. So if we look at the 6 cards we mill, we can see if either of those 6 are going to trigger either the Perlarino or the Kaleido Heart. So if you look at the next 6 cards, 1 at 8 now, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 from this, 7, 8, and let's say Sully Search as Havness, maybe, and then Havness mills 3. Let's see what that would get us. Maybe 1, 2, 3. Oh, so hey, you whiff. Or no, wait, this is Aqua, so that could trigger Kaleido. Wait, this is Aqua 2. Completely missed that. But yeah. So yeah, it's basically 1, 2, 3 guaranteed disruptions, very likely 4 disruption, and then potential 5 disruption. Potential 5 and 6 disruption. Potentially. Like, it just depends. And probably not 6. Like, I don't think there's any way to resolve a Sharon on the board on the opponent's turn. Like, unless you destroy it with Pearl Rhino, which is like a net negative. Or I guess net neutral. Nah, it's a negative. Yeah, it sucks. That's a L. Now, something else we could have done, obviously, and this is one of the reasons why. Now, something else we could have definitely done was to overlay the Sharon for a Time Thief Redoer. But if we did that, we wouldn't have been able to go into the Bahamut Shark as well. We wouldn't have had enough level 4s to put on board. And that's one of the reasons why I think Time Thief Redoer probably isn't worth playing. Because it's like, you're usually only going to summon it if you're summoning Sharon, which doesn't happen in every hand. Like, it only happened in this hand. Like, usually you're not even trying to do that. And then even if you do summon Sharon, which we need it to do in this hand, like, if you get the Rhino Heart is almost always a guaranteed Toad, which means, what's your other level 4 going to be for the Redoer? Nothing. So it's like, usually you're not going into Redoer unless your hands are like really weird or bad or awkward. So I kind of want to cut Redoer. And there also could have been a situation where, let's say we have another level 4, but maybe I just want to keep this on board for like a Sully or a Meta Noise. So again, like, Redoer I really don't like that much. Something else we saw with this hand was the downside of Shyama, like not being able to use the effect because we don't have any face down card that we could destroy. So it was just kind of a dead card in the graveyard, which, you know, a dead card in graveyard that's like a fake, how do you say? It's like a fake disadvantage. Like, almost every card in the game is dead in the graveyard, but in a deck that can play out of its graveyard, a dead card in the grave is kind of, I don't want to say bad, but it's less than ideal. Like, you know, Terraforming's dead in grave, Pearl Rhino's dead in grave, Instant Fusion's dead in grave. Like, it's a stupid argument to make, but it would have been nice to be able to use, is what I want. So take that as you will. But alright guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, anything like that, let me know in the comment section down below. If I misplayed, please let me know. Like, this video is up, so I'm already gonna look stupid on the internet, but don't let me also look stupid in real life when I'm maybe playing this deck at like a regional or something, which I do have a couple coming up in the next couple of weekends. But also with that, I saw the poll on the community tab. I saw you guys all, or a lot of you guys, voted for Labyrinth, so that's also going to be a deck I'm going to be testing. I was surprised that Rescue Ace had so few votes, because it looks like Rescue Ace is still going to be a pretty good deck. But hey, I'm a man of the people, so, you know, Labyrinth was in first place, so I am going to be testing that deck out. And then second place, Tearlaments, I'm going to be testing that as well. And Tier is a deck that I'm comfortable with, so it's going to come down to, for my regionals, like the first one's on January 7th, it's going to come down to how powerful Labyrinth feels in the format relative to how comfortable I am with Tearlaments, being that I've already been playing it for a while. Now, granted, let me know, guys, if I'm, you know, misplaying all over the place and I'm bad with Tearlaments. You know, maybe I shouldn't play this deck anyways. But yeah, I'll leave that to you guys. I'm going to be testing both decks. We're going to be seeing a lot more as we actually get into the format. So it'll be interesting to see where things go. And it's a short format too, because we've got Maze of Memories coming out. We've got Phantom, whatever the next set is, coming out in February. So we really only have this format for a month. but we want to win as many games in this month as possible. And so I hope you guys will be along with me for the ride. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like it. Again, I'm not going to say subscribe because who knows when I'm going to upload again, but hopefully soon. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and have a happy holidays. Bye-bye.